Hello and welcome over here at Holistic Investments. And today I'm really delighted to introduce an interesting crypto proxy stock that I found while I'm doing my research, and it's Solana based. Again, we're going to throw a disclaimer because this is not investment advice and you should not consider any of such advice as any tax, legal, financial, any other advice. Whatever, you have the actual disclaimer, so please read it. Let's jump into it. So we're talking about Upexi. So this is a very unique and interesting case. The Upexi Inc. is the company name, NASDAQ ticker UPXI. Now it's a publicly traded US company that has repositioned itself to digital asset treasury company focused on Solana. Buys Sol while still owning and operating several consumer brands. Now, what is interesting, if you look at their website, it's upexi.com. Because it's a public traded company operating since 2021, all the information is actually open to any other review. And I found a lot of interesting stock data, financial info, and let's jump right into it. This time I want to help you to learn a little bit how I approach the analysis of this type of stocks, because it's still a risky instrument, and it's because it's focused on digital asset treasury, so it adds additional complexity. So what are the questions that I think everyone should ask yourself? What does the company actually do? So Upexi is now positioned as a Solana-focused digital asset treasury company that buys Solana, stakes its yield, and earns about 7 to 8%, acquires locked tokens at a discount to spot price, and uses capital markets to expand treasury size. So it is still owns several consumer brands, but the core business is digital asset treasury management. Similar how to MicroStrategy represents Bitcoin, Upexi represents Solana. Now, the second question I would be asking myself is revenue growing, and is it quality revenue? Legacy revenue grew aggressively in 2021, 2023, and you can see it clearly in their financial statements. If you look at the results, all the numbers actually look good. So it's a steady growth. 2024, 2025 declined because the company internationally exited low margin consumer businesses to focus on treasury operations. Now, today, staking revenue just alone brings 75K or to around 100K a day. So it's a primary recurrent revenue source. So the good news, revenue sources are now high margin, recurrent, blockchain native. However, to be cautious about the lower top line revenue, which again, it brings us stronger economics on the crypto side, but there are some other challenges which we're going to discuss openly. Is the company profitable or on a real path to profitability? That's the question number 3 that I would ask myself. As a positive net income in 2021, and the positive adjusted EBITDA in 2022 and 2023 shows like that the path the company was growing previously was great. The net losses in 2024 and 2025 due to divestitures, impairments, restructuring, balances sheet, and transitions. Again, you can read all those 80 pages that I had to go through. I'm not going to bore you with this information, but the summary is that the treasury model has lower operating costs and higher gross margins, which also provides you passive yield income. So again, still not reporting consistent net profits under the new model yet, but soon, I think by the end of fiscal year 2026, we're going to see, I'm sure, a very good positive outcome here. So the question number 4, what I would ask myself is, what does the balance sheet look like? So as of October 2025, they had about 2,106,989 SOL. So that was valued at around 397 million. So we're looking at 72 million unrealized gain. So we have higher liquidity, Solana is liquid and stakeable, lower operating costs expenses after restructuring. So the balance sheet itself looks pretty strong and not tied to crypto assets only, rather than inventory, payroll heavy, e-commerce or manufacturing. So the downside of this, again, if we're going to be completely transparent, that it's still subject to Solana price volatility. So question number 5, which I would ask myself, who runs the company? And here I should say this is a very, very strong signal, which I went through the names who are behind it. Alan Marshall, the CEO of the company. If you look at his background, again, everything is available on their website. Pretty solid background. If you just look at, the overall executive team, like he's 55 years old, been in the space for, 25 plus years, like, had successful exits, XPO Logistics with revenue excess like $17 billion. So you can clearly assume that, this gentleman knows how to run a company. Andrew Nordstrom, also he's a like top C-level executive, 49 years old, like was running multiple businesses, have multiple exits. Previously, he worked in Grant and Thornton LP, so extensive experience with young growth public companies. So definitely knows what he's doing about, and he's also certified public accountant, which is very important. Brian Ruddick, Chief Strategy Officer. So also 43 years old, seems incredible in his experience. And by the way, he led the GSR investment into Upexi of a $100 million private placement. So CFA charter holder. So MBA from the University of Chicago. Wow. Okay. That's impressive. And so I would say last piece, which is very important, they have also incredible advisor, John Najarian. So if you don't know DRJ, which is he was a linebacker for Chicago Bears before he turned to another kind of context for trading into the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. Again, CBOE is the first exchange where I was trading for. So Chicago Board of Options and Exchange, I have an affinity to this exchange. It's very dear and close to my heart. So he sold his business in 2004 to Citadel, and then actually also created Option Monster and Trade Monster. Then he later sold for $750 million in September 2016. So seasoned trader, has incredible following. People really respect him in the space. So I think this is a very strong positive side, which I would say. If we were move on, like from the analysis again, I think so far, like also Sol Big Brain, a major Solana figure, supports it. So the leadership is exceptional. So number six question I would ask, what is the moat? So if you think about it, public markets vehicle for Solana exposure are pretty rare. There's not many big companies. There are now a few. I believe there's going to be much more that are rising. However, the staking yield plus discounted locked token purchases outperform simply Sol holding. Moreover, they can raise capital at favorable terms to accumulate more Solana. They have transparent SEC reporting. It's very native to traditional stock buyers and people who build portfolios across the board, and they want little exposure to crypto with something convenient in like their Fidelity or Merrill Lynch account or Charles Schwab. So it's hard to replicate for retail investors. There's few direct competitors in public markets, but again, I think there's place for many. Again, the downside probably in this, the strategy depends heavily on the capital market access, right? So these guys know how to raise money, seems like. Again, 400 million is a very clear indicator that they do know. So I have positive feeling here. If you talk about question number 7, how will the company grow from here? Now, if you think about the growth drivers, so accumulating more Solana is a great pivot because I think Solana is like incredibly like big ecosystem. They're growing and they have actual application, actual usage. They're increasing daily staking revenue. They're unlocking discounted locked tokens. They're expanding advisory and institutional presence. There's a possibility of ETF related flows. Already has like 2x long UPX ETF. So that will bring more liquidity. They have a clear and simple growth engine. Like, if you think about it, it's bigger treasury, more yield, more net asset value, more shareholder value. So here I'm also pretty positive. Question number 8, are insiders buying or selling? Now, of course, there's no way I would know this information. And if I knew, I would never tell you. However, public filings show us this detail that in the last reporting. So company raised $100 million through private placement in April 2025. Investor in that raise are up 96%. So something that from the basic cognitive psychology will tell you that if investors are happy and they're all up almost 2x, so it gives a very positive sentiment. So that means people are not trading below NAV or MNAV, and that means people are happy to deploy more and maybe recommend it because when your portfolio is green, guess what? You're like just subconsciously more happy. Question number 9, which I would ask myself, what could go wrong? And this is incredibly important question because we want to be as objective as possible. Solana is a volatile asset. Like it's a crypto asset. Intrinsically, it has volatility and you can use it to its benefit. And I think there's nothing wrong in volatility. However, it still, has this aspect. Regulatory changes regarding crypto treasuries. Again, if the next administration will come and God forbid, like they change the stance, they would try to create a lot of challenges. Like, so that might impact, of course, the sentiment. Market-wide crypto downturn, again, in the bear market, let's be real, the price of Solana tanks and it will be directly correlated with the stock, whether you like it or not. Limited diversification beyond Solana, so it's not a basket of different assets, so there is certain concentration, which again, as a value investment approach, they can use this argument for their benefit, or it can be also have a negative impact. Liquidity or lock tokens depends on the vesting schedule, so that's another thing that to look into it. If Solana materially drops, like the NAV and the stock price will follow. So something you have to be cognizant about. So it's a marriage between Solana and the stock. But again, staking yield and DCA based accumulation reduce timing and risk. Again, right now, the last question, and probably the one of the most important question, it was, what is the valuation and is it justified? Now, if you look at the October 31st in 2021, the basic MNAV like 0.6x, fully loaded MNAV 1.5-3x. So NAV and adjusted SOL per share is growing meaningfully faster than SOL itself, which creates a valuation argument that UPX can outperform pure Solana returns because they can earn yield, they buy tokens at a discount. Again, they use accretive capital issuance. So if investors want SOL exposure with yield and public equity structure, UPXI is uniquely positioned. The downside here is Solana enters a bear cycle, treasury value could compress. So to summarize, I think right now, it's still an incredible opportunity here. We have 2.1 million Solana held, 72 million unrealized gains, 82% increase in adjusted SOL per share, 96% investor return from April private placement, staking revenue around 100K per day. So I think it's a pretty unique way how the company is being driven. And if you want to dig deeper on this SEC filings, I highly recommend you to go to their website. There's press releases, there are updates from their financial statements. Everything is public, so whenever you need, you can go and verify this information. Please don't trust anyone, including me. You have to do your own research. You have to trust your analytic skills and your guts. So I wish you success in whatever the desire will lead you, whether you're gonna participate in this deal or not. But I think the more and more of such companies exist, the more we have a perfect merge of TradFi and crypto, and I believe that's only a beginning. Really excited, and if you like this content, please click like, follow, comment. I mean, you know what to do. Thank you so much.